Hello.
Hi,
Rory,
Rory.
Rory, I can see him. Hey, well,
Hi.
it's very fine here. No problems at all at the moment.
You look
Despite
good.
the fact that there are many people dead here. Not me yet.
Wow.
How you doing, Rory?
Yeah, it was just a bomb that you dropped now. So yeah, now I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. It's interesting times. Eh? This is cool.
But if you can just maybe start talking about the work that you did, how the collaboration started.
So I was wandering around on a first Thursday in Cape Town, looking at some very mediocre exhibitions, one after the other after the other. And I walked into the AVA gallery to see yet another mediocre exhibition. However,
No shade.
there was one, no, actually there were two exceptions to mediocrity, I thought, in this exhibition that I recall. And the first and most important one was that I walked into the video room in AVA gallery. And it just so happened that at the moment I walked in, the screen was dark. So I knew that my partner Zoe was looking for a sit down. So we sat down and this video of Rory's, which is called Transcendence, is that right?
Transcending.
Yeah, started up. And let's just say I was transfixed by this extraordinary piece of work. And so a couple of days later, I went back, well, maybe I did it that evening, I don't know, but I went back and arranged to meet Rory and to buy the work and another piece of work, which is hanging in the bedroom, just that way. And that was our first contact, face-to-face. In fact, this is our first online contact, I would say, Rory.
Yeah.
Everything's been face-to-face before, apart from the telephone.
Virtual face.
Yeah. So that's how we started. We started by me being very interested in Rory's work, and then, you know, visits to studios and so on. So
Yeah, I was in my fourth year at Michaelis. So it was the grad show. It was the greatest hits. Yeah, that's the one. So Matthew Blackman, who was the director at the time, kind of curated the video, the transcending video, and some smaller works on paper that I made, and some postcards with that I painted over, very kind of Gerard Richter inspired. But yeah, that was an important work. I mean, it still is kind of a very key or seminal work in my practice. And so when Roger emailed me, I mean, I was a young, you know, impressionable graduate to get this email from a professor from, you know, overseas and asking to meet up for coffee. That was quite cool. So I was very excited. And then met him and met, you know, Zoe, and obviously just clicked, and yeah, became friends, not just collaborators, but yeah, we're still in contact. I think that's one of the questions. But we see each other almost annually, you know, around the art season in Cape Town. So it's been a cool journey.
I mean, I do come to Cape Town, as you both know, I come quite a lot. This is not a city you want to be in the middle of the winter, if you can help it. It's very nice now, beautiful spring weather. But
it looks sunny there now. It looks like the sun's shining.
It's beautiful. It's bloody cold, but it's beautiful. It's very beautiful.
All the carbon that's left the atmosphere.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah, I don't know why everybody's still driving around out there, but they are.
Wow.
So anyway, eventually Rory said, "Would you like to collaborate on a project that we all three of us know about, and that it was going to be in this garage space on the old Momo Gallery site." And we had a conversation or two or three, and as you do, we came up with some kind of a plan.
Yeah, we met in the space, I think, once or twice, just to kind of check out the kind of wall that you demarcated for our kind of contribution or performance or whatever it was gonna manifest in. But I think that, like Roger hadn't, I mean, performance isn't really something that you do in your work. at least overtly.
Only as a teacher, performing as a
Maybe,
teacher.
yeah, the performance of pedagogy and the like. Yeah, so I think besides obviously emailing and texting when Roger was still in Scotland, to come before he came down for his kind of annual visit to Cape Town, we had been chatting about the possibilities of this collaboration and what it would look like. But I think only once we had seen the space and we were kind of, brainstorming in the actual garage context, it was very exciting to start, just rhyming and seeing what we could do and moving, actually activating and animating ourselves in that environment. So that was, I think, the most kind of exciting part was the process of actually making the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we decided on
one thing that I was always very clear about was that whatever we did, I had to find some relationship to this character called Colorman, because I knew that Colorman would be there. And so one of the tasks for me was to try and find the right way in which to be in relation to Colorman, not to kind of, compete in any way, but to simply complement. So, well, I became Grey Man. So my analogy was always that, I was the drummer and the bass player to Rory's lead vocals and lead guitar.
Yeah.
And I thought of Bill Wyman.
That's interesting.
Sitting in the background, that was me.
Well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it, but I was trying to be, I think, a bit more diplomatic in that I think your work kind of formed the basis of even the title, the phosphorescence. So, how do you say that?
Phosphorescence, yeah.
Phosphorescence, yeah. So that body of work was almost kind of what we were responding to and what we had the Colorman figure kind of activate. I wish I had them now. Actually, what I do have, okay, Roger's stepped up, but I wanted to show you. I'll show you when I get back. I found it in print.
I'm just looking for the book, but I can't find it.
But I have something similar here.
Oh,
I don't know where these are from, but I found it in my archive, in my studio. So this is like, it's quite, and this is such nice paper also. I'm like wondering if I shouldn't go in on these. But this is basically what we did. So I tore these out of the book of the phosphorescence.
I made a book.
Thing. You can explain it.
In 2014, I had a commission from the Creative Scotland and Glasgow City to make some work in the context of the 2014 Commonwealth Games, which were here in Glasgow. And my proposal was that I wanted to go and spend the time of the Commonwealth Games in the smallest Commonwealth country and to make work there and try and make some kind of educational links. And the smallest Commonwealth country turned out to be this island called Nauru, which is an island with a population of 10,000 people in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And it's one of the islands that Australia uses as a place to locate migrant detention centers. And in fact, the economy of Nauru is completely dependent on this now. It used to be a very rich country because it had phosphates, i.e. phosphorescence. So my project was to make a book as a result of this time I spent on Nauru in July and August 2014. I don't like the book very much, but what we decided to do, it happened too quickly. I've got much nicer books. It happened too quickly, but what we decided to do was to use that book as the basis for, and it's the context of Nauru to an extent, as the basis of our collaboration.
Yeah, so that's, yeah, that was kind of the foundation, if you will, or the raw material for the performance, and even the defacing or the activating or interfering. You can look at it in different ways, but using this gray paint, house paint, and painting over these images. So, you know, sticking them on the wall in a kind of grid-like format, and yeah, just engaging them and activating them in a different way. Yeah, obviously many different connotations or things you can think about, and how it connects to Cape Town, and you know, the act of painting and wall painting and labor and all of those types of conversations is I think created an interesting thing. And also map making and cartography. I think you were you writing, it was multicolored chalk that you were writing with on the floor. But
so
that,
we devised a two-person performance with two interrelated but nevertheless separate activities. Where Rory was in the vertical, standing, moving, tearing out the pages from the book, painting grey paint on them and attaching them to the wall, whilst I was lying on the floor with a box of chalks, and I set out to write a 150-word text that somehow is a summary of the history of Nauru. But I did it upside down and back to front on the floor with chalk. So it was a bit of a task to write the, you know, if we take these closer than ever notes, you know, the last word here is to ask one another, question mark. So the first thing that I would write upside down back to front is the question mark, and then the R of another, and then the E, and so on. So it was a mental struggle to try and draw a text over what it took about 50 minutes, I think, the whole thing on the floor.
It was the longest performance that I think I've done.
Yeah, but we stopped too soon, I think.
Yeah.
I
was satisfied.
What was quite unpredictable is that I remember there was a kid there as well who started wanting to participate and draw with chalk.
Yeah. I remember seeing that.
In these times, are you looking at your practice differently than you might have been, or your subject matter differently? And what are kind of the limitations of this virtual space and these distant connections to maybe something that they free in your practice or in your thinking?
Rory?
I feel like almost the limitations are self-imposed, in my opinion. I feel like the internet and online platforms are so, you know, they're so broad and sophisticated now that, I mean, I've been on a few virtual tours of exhibitions. So the Panele Cosa's space, the Louvre in Paris, they had a virtual tour. Obviously, it's not the same, especially with works that are, you know, very kind of sensory or tactile. You can't get a sense of the thing or the materiality of it, but you still get the sense of the space and how that space functions. But yeah, so thinking about that, but also where one situates oneself in a global context, I think has become a lot more apparent for me. I mean, now it's the danger is that all of these different countries, and you know, we're all locked down now, and we're all trying to almost preserve our own national identities, if you will. So there's that tension between, like, you know, this globalized world that we live in now with the internet and everything, but also trying to not perpetuate this idea of nationalism and trying to almost like self-preserve too much. So it's this in between of being mindful of the, you know, the world and being a citizen of the world, but also having to self-isolate and make work for yourself, essentially, because yeah, that's all we can do. But then there's also the sharing and the disseminating of information and Instagram, and which Roger still needs to get. But anyway.
But wait.
Hey, is it there?
33 days ago, I decided to start an Instagram project. So
okay.
On the first full day of Zoe and my enforced self-isolation, we're officially at-risk people here just because of our age.
Sure.
And because of, you know, what wouldn't otherwise be minor health issues for both of us. So we are at risk and we're supposed to stay in. No, our lockdown is not as, unfortunately, it's not as stringent as yours is. So we are, and we will. After this, we'll probably go for a little walk around the streets here.
Nice.
We're allowed to do that. But 33 days ago, I decided, okay, I don't know how long this is going to last, but this is my moment to just have a little bit of fun and use some kind of social media platform to play with.
Yeah.
So I started a project which will end when the lockdown ends. I'm sure it will end. But every morning I make a picture in my kitchen, looking out. So it's inside outside. It's facing north every time. That's the direction of view. So that for us, that's you know, it's a different thing. It's, you know, the sun's in the south here, as you'll know. So north is that way. And so you can find that if you care to search for it, you can find it on Instagram, Rory.
What's the handle? What's the account name?
Roger Palmer 2. I don't know who Roger Palmer 1 is, but I'm number 2.
When someone beat you to it.
Yep, afraid so.
Yeah.
Probably doing the same thing.
Roger Palmer 2, I have it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, I'm kind of struggling a bit to answer your question apart from that, Michaela, in that, you know, I came back here on the 13th of March. And after 6 weeks in South Africa, intensely social time, always. Sorry we didn't meet again, Rory, it just got crazy, but, you know.
I understand.
And I came back with a lot of material to work with. And I'm very fortunate that I have a space here. I can't get into the studio I have in the city. I haven't been allowed to go in there for over a month. But I do have this space, and I have a photographic darkroom on the other side of the house. So I've got a lot of work to do here. And what this circumstance has done is made it much more concentrated as a working time than it perhaps normally would be. In that I can't just go out on my bike when I feel like it, or go out to have lunch with somebody, or go swimming, or whatever it is that I usually do. So I spend my mornings in the darkroom, and I've literally just come out of there 20 minutes ago after a time of working, making some black and white photographs.
That's cool.
So the Instagram is a kind of, I suppose it's a concession, shall we say, to the circumstances we find ourselves in. And it's playful, that's all it is. I run upstairs and have a quick look at it on the computer here, and then, okay, time to work. I got to work now until lunchtime. And I go in there and I print, you know, black and white photographs, watching them slowly emerge in the developer, and you know, here they come, one after the other, very slowly. You know, the room's full of them.
Cool. If I had fax machines, you could have faxed one to me now, and I could have done something on it. I could scan one and send it to you. Yeah.
But we'll save that. We'll save that, Rory.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I think it's been challenging for I think anyone who works in a studio environment. You know, it's obviously we can't even go outside. We can't drive around. You know, you literally get arrested. So yeah. Also, I haven't been at the studio at Greatmore for a long time, but I think this time it's been good to do a lot of reading and to do a lot of writing. I've been doing some of that, which has been great, because time now is like, it's illusion and a construction. And so I wake up whenever. My sleeping patterns are completely messed up.
Yeah, me too.
So that routine, you know, of like getting up and having that, I was telling Nicole, I feel like I got routine in my thinking almost. It's like, this is now the time to focus on practicing. But like you say, you wake up, like for the first time in I don't know how long, I woke up in the middle of the night, the other night, with an idea for video work, and I just, you know, put it down in a note and then fell asleep again, which I never would do, because I knew, okay, now I need to wake up at 5 in the morning to go to the gym and then to get the studio and beat the traffic. And so now it's like this freedom of everything in this kind of amalgamation of time. And I have my studio. Can I show you?
Oh, yeah.
Studio. This is my studio space set up here.
Oh, you do? That's great.
So it's like literally a corner of our apartment, but it's been great to just work on small things, drawing, doing a lot of drawing, sketching, thinking, and then all the big stuff, the canvas, stitched works and paintings or all that. It's a great move, but I'm almost, embracing this time of not, just doing all the time and just stopping and that's man.
One thing we did, Michaela, I think it's probably time to go, but one thing we did plan to do, which we didn't cover here, was that there was a moment, and it's actually 2 years ago now, that we planned, and we were hoping to make another performance piece in Glasgow.
Oh.
And we were going to do it in the context of the Glasgow International Festival of Contemporary Art, which is a biannual festival, which was supposed to have opened tomorrow.
Wow.
So that's 2 years ago. We were going to do this, but for various reasons, we don't need to go into them, but for various reasons.
Full circle. No, this is the reason why.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons.
You can say it, Roger, it's fine.
None on there.
I'll take it.
This is, a really good initiative, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michaela.
Because you brought the first one together as well, so big double thank you.
Okay, well, thanks.
Michaela, yeah, she's done the most. Wait, you're not getting paid for this.
Rory, I've already had my money. Have you not had yours yet?
Oh my God. Okay, bye.